The Trojan War, a conflict believed to have erupted more than 300 years ago near the city of Troy. It was a legendary conflict taken place around the 12th or 13th century BC near the ancient city of Troy, today known as northwestern Turkey. According to ancient sources, the war lasted nearly 10 years, and the main reason of the war was a personal conflict between royal families. In this war, thousands of soldiers were killed and many more were wounded. And for centuries, historians have asked the same question. Did this war really happen, or was it only a story? Because behind the famous myths, there may be a very real conflict that changed the ancient world. The story begins with a city that stood between two worlds. Troy was not the largest kingdom of its time, but it controlled an important trade route connecting the Aegean Sea with lands deeper into Asia. Merchants, ships, and travelers passed near its walls every day. Whoever controlled Troy could influence trade, wealth, and power across the region, and that made the city extremely valuable. The main reason behind the war was not trade, but it was a personal conflict, as already told. The legend says the war started because Prince Paris of Troy took Helen, the wife of a Greek king. One day Paris traveled to Sparta in Greece. There he met Helen of Troy. Helen left Sparta with Prince Paris of Troy, and the Prince of Troy took her to the city of Troy. This was seen as a huge insult to the Greek kings. So many Greek rulers united and attacked Troy. This way the Greeks launched a war to bring her back. So this conflict became known as the Trojan War. To the kings and rulers of Greece, this was not simply a private matter. It was seen as a deep insult to honor and alliances. Many Greek kings joined together and prepared their armies to attack Troy. Their mission was clear: bring Helen back and punish Troy. Soon ships filled the horizon of the Aegean Sea. Warriors from different Greek kingdoms arrived. Among them were famous figures remembered in ancient literature. But once the armies reached Troy, something unexpected happened. The city had not fallen quickly. Troy was protected by strong defensive walls. And according to some reports from archaeological studies, the city had layers of fortifications built over many centuries. This turned the conflict into something far more exhausting. Years passed. Battles happened outside the city gates. Warriors fought for honor, revenge, and survival. Communities on both sides lived under constant pressure. Food for eating became scarce. Families waited for news that sometimes never came, and slowly the war became less about one woman and more about pride, alliances, and power. This is where the emotional weight of the story begins to deepen. Because the long wars do something dangerous. They turn temporary anger into permanent hostility. After nearly a decade of conflict, neither side could easily walk away. According to later tradition, the Greeks eventually used a strategy that would become one of the most famous war stories in the history. A large wooden horse was built. The plan was simple but dangerous. Some Greek soldiers hid inside the horse. The rest of the army is protected to live by ships. The people of Troy thought the horse was a gift. They believed the war was over. So they took the horse inside their city. But at night, the hidden soldiers came out. City gates were opened and the Greek army returned. Ancient stories say that soon after this, the city of Troy was destroyed. Fire spread throughout the city. Buildings collapsed, and the long war finally reached its tragic end. Even today, historians are not completely sure about this story. Archaeologists found the ruins of an ancient city destroyed by war around the same time. but the full truth is still unknown. So the big question remains, was the Trojan War a myth created by storytellers or a real war remembered through legends? The truth may lie somewhere in between. Stories grow over time. Heroes become larger than life. But often behind every legend, there is a real human struggle that started it all. And the Trojan War reminds us of something timeless. Sometimes the wars that echo through history don't begin with armies. They begin with pride, alliances, and decisions that slowly spiral beyond control. And once that cycle begins, history rarely forgets. The story of the Trojan War reminds us that conflict often begins with pride, anger, and personal decisions, but they can grow into much larger tragedies. It also shows how real events can turn into powerful legends that people remember for thousands of years.